But anyway, the agenda for today is to do the recorded games from the 1v1 mini cup, which did get renamed the DauT Cup, that were not casted by the team that went over to China, because we did have quite a few people from VB Official go over there. So this is round one. It took place on the Sunday sort of lunchtime-ish, following the Clan Masters Grand Final itself, the day after. And therefore, like many of the players, admins had all been up really late the night before, because the Clan Masters final went on till 2 AM and there was obviously much celebration and everybody was really hyped up. So I doubt anybody actually woke up feeling fresh as a daisy to play these games the following day. So we'll see. We do actually have Nilpferd playing in this, and he obviously put so much work into the production of the live stream while he was over there. He was up till like 6 AM the day of Clan Masters, had like 2 hours sleep and then streamed all day, and then probably had the same again. So not going to be on his top form here, but obviously he'd be super excited to play in these games. And let's see how he does. He's facing a player called Fangxiaoqi, who is a Chinese 2K player who is perhaps not the most familiar of the many, many, many Chinese 2Ks, given that he's not sort of directly affiliated or playing with SY or Chao Ren teams these days. But I think he's played for China's national teams in the past. I don't know how close or how not close he is to the SY people. I know there's a new tournament starting up for just Chinese players soon, called Who Will Take Over the World. That's the kind of international translation. A little bit clunky. Oh, Town Bell sending. A bit odd. That's strange. I guess he needed to drop off food to do villager production, but the Town Bell kind of corrupted his build there. But yeah, what was I saying? The Who Takes Over the World tournament. He's playing with, I can't remember who he's playing with, but there's basically all the SY and Chao Ren. What is Fangxiaoqi doing? It's like he makes a mistake and then he takes like 3 seconds to rectify it. And we'll nearly go for the lame. Interesting. It's going to be too late to actually make that work now. And yeah, he thinks better of it. But yeah, those players are all kind of like mixing together. So like all the SY and Chao Ren players are captains of a team, and they all have sort of slightly lesser known Chinese players playing with them. So I think we may see more of Fangxiaoqi in tournaments in the future. He's also known as Win Wukong, actually quite a well-known player, but just one we haven't seen as much of in tournaments recently. But yeah, this tournament setting is best of 3 for the round 1. We've got some of the stronger players, like Viper, Yo, Yinghua, Riot, dropping into round 2, or I think it's round 2 anyway, as higher seeds, because I think it was a 12-man bracket, so it requires some players to get buys. I'm just going to briefly leave my computer just to pick up my phone so I can see chat. Check the stream's okay. Right, it seems everything's fine. Yeah, best of 3. First game I believe was Dry Arabia, and then after that home maps. We're not going to be able to read any of that as it's all in Chinese. Just to point out to anyone who's that it's not obvious to, these games were obviously played for the sort of land setting on China. They still had to go online on Voobly, but because all the players are in the same room, the ping was so low as to be virtually non-existent. So it's close to land settings without actually being LAN. Fangxiaoqi though seems to have recovered from his kind of initial hesitancy with his build, and is multitasking a lot better now if he's managing to pull off a successful ball lure from Nilly. Both players Celts, quite common sieve to see. Oh, I was saying successful. Scout's actually quite low. If that takes 2 hits, it'd be interesting to keep an eye on that, see if he manages to bring it back. He's bringing a Vil though, he should do it. But yeah, Celts, popular civ for Arabia. In Arabia 1v1 Invitational, I don't know whether they were the most picked, but they had the best win ratio out of all the civs by quite some distance. So they sort of emerged as the best non-Huns Mines and Celts civ. And I imagine as we look at a number of these wrecks today, we'll see players going Celts on Arabia quite a bit. There were Britons and Mongols picked a lot there, of course, but Mongols actually didn't do too well with their win ratio. Britons hot on the heels of Celts though not quite as popular. Really interested in this boar. Fangxiaoqi just doesn't have the HP to take it back, but I guess he's just going for scouting information now and he's actually given up on it. But anyway, both players seem to be... Well, I was thinking they were going for a Drush build. I thought I saw a gold miner go to take 10 gold, but no gold being taken, so is Fangxiaoqi going to make use of this map to just try and wall up and not even bother to Drush. My computer froze for a second then. Nearly just going with the standard Drush build in the red, of course. Map wise for him, got okayish back gold towards the edge, but it's not fantastic. He's got a massive hill in front of him, pretty much overlooking his entire base and his main gold. So, not the easiest map to work with for Nilly. Fangxiaoqi, very nice and enclosed, and that's why he's going for the wall off. But he does have all forward gold positions, which is actually making up part of his wall, so he will need to make sure he secures those. Interesting though, it seems like he's going to follow up walling up at home with a sneaky forward, venturing around the left edge of the map, but he knows that all the scouting was taking place over here. He's seen Nillis scout on the right side of the map in recent times, so quite like this decision, sending these vills all the way around the left-hand side. This is kind of reminds me of what Viper always says about Chinese players, the fact that they always like to wall up and then just sneak army around the side, and Fangxiaoqi's basically doing that from minute 10 here. He's normally like when Viper refers to that thing, as he so often does, he's talking about players sneaking crossbows around the map in Castle Age from behind stone walls or something, but this is kind of the Dark Age equivalent of it. Nilly's Drush gonna come forward and we'll just hit the walls. At this point Fangxiaoqi seems to be completely closed off. Yeah, he's plugged every hole, so blue player will just re-wall behind this or repair that wall, and the Drush won't get in. In order to get into Fangxiaoqi's actual base, Nilly would have to follow this Drush up with something in the feudal age. So forward barracks being dropped, and Fangxiaoqi will approach from the northwest. We'll spend some time on Nilly's point of view here to see when he sees this coming in. It's a good direction of attack for Fangxiaoqi because it hits the main stone, the main gold, and the second gold, but Nilly has already decided to use the back gold instead of the main one. I quite like this because sometimes you see players, they just use the main gold wherever it is, even if not necessarily at this level, but I'm perhaps talking about lower levels here. But sometimes you see players just using the main gold wherever it is because it's the main one, so to speak, and not thinking, oh, I'll just take the smaller gold even if it's in a better position. Fangxiaoqi hitting the feudal age. What we're going to see from him, archer range, and Nilly feeling quite pleased with managing to pick up Fangxiaoqi's scout. Still unaware of what's going on right now. All he sees is the walls. And that is actually going to be reinforced with a watchtower by Fangxiaoqi. So there is no chance of the Drush getting in or Nilly being able to do anything there. He might like to have ventured forward and dropped a tower of his own if he was a bit faster up to the feudal age. Because whilst he was applying that pressure, he could have done something more with it if only he'd been up faster. Okay, now the second range is up for Fangxiaoqi. We're going to see this from Nilly's point of view. Blue player remaining just out of range for now, but this is the moment when Nilly spots him. And he's actually standing on the site of the archer range that Nilly wants to do, so Nilly will have to rebuild that somewhere else. And it's, I don't know, blacksmith out there. I guess he placed that before, and he's actually sort of panic archer ranging right next to where the archer is. It does kind of help to wall off a bit, but there is a bit of a hole there. TC picks it off though, so that was almost a bit of a trap. However, there is another hole which Nilly spotted straight away. Hills are really pesky here. I know Nilly normally likes to play with grid mod. Whether he was actually able to do that in the tournament situation in China, I'm not sure. I've just remembered actually I need to change the in-game text on the prize board as well. So let me just do that. I want to keep it up to date. Okay, apologies for that, and we can go again. Nilly just not taking any chances here. It's not palisading this up. It's just straight into stone walls. Unfortunately, they don't accomplish like as much as you'd hope, really, because the archers are still going to be in this position, and I wouldn't be surprised if Fangxiaoqi is able to put a tower there, which would be pretty damn devastating for Nilly. Would force him to come and take wood way out here, which is very exposed because the archers can just walk around. And we see Fangxiaoqi already on stone, so that's his plan, to just use this control that he's established around Nilly's perimeter to try and put up towers. Nilly taking deer right out here. He's actually managing to go up to the castle age. Let's see whether that's a wise decision to go this quickly. Obviously you can clean up all of this army if he gets the castle age and just does a knight or two, but for the moment he's on one archer range with one archer in it, and that's nothing in the face of all this aggression from the Chinese player. So castle age, I don't know, he doesn't feel safe enough. It feels a little bit greedy. Another option is a mangonel, of course, but he's actually going to just add a second archer range for now and start adding in some skirmishers. Drush coming home, trying to pick up a vill on the stone, and he should be able to do that, but with the proper micro, the blue player can fight this off, especially if he brings in a couple of extra archers. Those militia will be turned to dust pretty soon. That's one armour being researched for the blue player. And I think we're going to see those three villagers come in and drop a tower right where the two archers are standing. Just needs to move them out of the way. And that's basically interrupted the entirety of Nilly's wood gathering as he goes up to the castle age. So it's going to be difficult for him to really make any use of it, because at the moment he's got two archery ranges. Well, he might be able to race them with the tower, but feels... yeah, he's going to get that up first. Okay, that can drive the blue player away. But in terms of actually using castle age units, he's got a few archery units which he's going to be able to barely afford to upgrade too much, and the numbers are just there for the blue player. He's not going to have the wood probably to do a siege workshop and a mangonel straight away, and he doesn't have the stable either, so it's going to be really tough to take on these guys. Getting town watch straight away because he needs to know where those units are going, where they're circling around, so it's a good upgrade to get at this point. Although having the extra food to afford Bodkin Arrow would also be pretty important. Blue player though moving in on that gold mine, and he's outnumbering that army close to 3-1 I think, and even with insane micro it's going to be incredibly tough to make use of just a little bit of extra range and attack to actually take that fight when outnumbered so heavily. Nearly pushed off gold now. Wood gathering was interrupted for a while, so Fangxiaoqi applying great pressure to Nilly as he goes to the castle age. Let's have a look at how he's doing back at home, because we haven't been here for a while. Seems that he's got a pretty good economy going on. I wouldn't be surprised, though, switch point of view, to see him having the resources to be close to click up to castle age, and indeed he is banking up 450 food, so it shouldn't be too long until he's actually able to click up, as long as he doesn't keep pumping loads of skirmishers from two ranges. Starting to lose some units here, get out micro by the greater range and attack power of the crossbows, and that will happen more and more as Bodkin Arrow kicks in. Need no spoiling in chat, man. What are you doing? So Fangxiaoqi just clinging to that hill, but he's continuing to take the casualties, and he's not really going to be able to push in and apply more pressure. The question is, like, how much damage has he done at this point? And Just as we look at the populations, we see a 10 villager advantage for the blue player and 7 military, so quite a big population advantage. He's got map control over all of Nili's base. He's kept him off gold for quite a long time as Nili hit the castle age, which means that he hasn't been able to take advantage of it being up that much. And Nili's about to be driven away from this wood line if Fangxiaoqi gets up the second tower there, which, let's see if Nili sees it. He shouldn't be able to see it. Oh, he does actually. Town watch being added to the tower has given him the line of sight, I think. And now we see that siege workshop from Nili. DauT's mangonels obviously slightly more powerful. But with the amount of army that Fangxiaoqi has, he's going to need a couple of good shots to equalise it up. I like this though from the blue player. He's really dragged away most of Nili's army by prowling around the kind of northern edge of his base, and he's completely left this gold plate mine open. There is an outpost there, which Nili does see in line of sight, but whether he's actually had his view centered upon it, I think he's pretty busy microing over here. He's looking at the tower that's come up on his wood line, and these archery units will hit the gold mine completely unnoticed, and that's going to be a lot of villagers going down. Nili reacts pretty quickly, but he's off gold now. He can't come out here, and losing villagers back at home. Mangonel is being produced. He really needs that mangonel to try and help him defend on the two fronts, because his smaller army running back and forth just isn't getting the job done, and his opponent retreating his army out of sight to safety, and he's going to get to Castle Age and get the upgrades done now, I think. Wouldn't be surprised to see forward siege workshop coming up somewhere over here with these villagers that are forward. And if Fangxiaoqi gets those Celt mangonels up on the hill, it's going to be a really tough time for Nili. He's doing such a great job of hiding the army. Hitting the castle edge, Nili did spot it, some of his units attacking, but yeah, hitting the castle edge, getting all the upgrades straight away for the units he has on the field. Bowsaw as well. So he's going about to be on an even footing with Nili in terms of upgrades. Losing quite a lot of army for free there though. Is he doing something else at this time? Looks like he's microing over here. And we can see that Nili's, apart from the mangonel, which he needs a really good shot from, and he's not quite going to get it. He's pretty wide open. So if the blue player micros against the mangonel, he's going to have a free route into the back of Nili's base again, just walking around the side. But second mangonel out, that will help turn the tide. This army's been completely cleared up, which is a good victory for Nili. You can see he's a little bit more even on the military population front, but still 8 villagers behind, even after blue has gone to the castle age. So a sizable advantage opening up here, and obviously for the whole game the blue player's villagers have been, I was going to say been working more efficiently, but it seems he's concentrating way too much on the front to keep things ticking over nicely back at home. But in general, Nili's villagers have been the ones that have been running around quite a lot and not gathering all the time. You can see that the blue player with like 500 more wood, 500 more food, 1500 more wood, about 2000 plus more resources collected during the game in total, and that's a product of that harassment and the pressure that he's been applying. I was just checking to see if blue had actually made him another mangonel in here. I like this, getting inside the minimum range of it. Just trying to avoid it turning round and getting that fatal shot from point blank. And he's going to pick up that mangonel for free. Good micro by Nili there. Running it down basically. Making sure that the two mangonels stay close enough together that they can never shoot at each other. And then using the crossbows. But once again, Fangxiaoqi doing a great job of sneaking army around. He's constantly catching Nili's villagers unaware, attacking from different angles. And even though Nilly's tried to get quite a lot of line of sight with outposts and town watch to see this coming, he's still finding his way in. Could be that Nilly gets a good mangonel shot here. 2 units go down there. And it seems that Nilly's thinking that a staple is the best opportunity to help clear this up, especially as quite a few skirmishers in that back there. Back at home, Fangxiaoqi, I'd have thought it'd be on a second TC potentially by now. It's still on the 1. Continue to apply full pressure. Has produced a lot of mangonels, so he's been invested in the last couple of minutes. I think there's been 2, there's 1 there, and I think there's another 1 minute before that as well. So 4 mangonels produced in the last couple of minutes. Obviously investing a lot of wood in the siege, and he's going to just use his position to keep applying pressure. Felt like he was easing off on the military production a little bit, but he's still up to 17. So question is, where's the rest of it? His mangonel's actually picking up loads of villager kills on the wood line. Hill bonus working in their favour as well. Nilly getting onto his 3rd and 4th knights there. Yeah, he's 17 military, 19 military because he's keeping a few units at home. I said Wolf actually picking up a skirmisher kill possibly there. Did that actually happen? +2 armour being researched. Nilly only now getting bowsaw. So that's been in Castle Age for quite a long time. In excess of 10 minutes I think. Nilly getting that now. Fangxiaoqi able to get that straight away as he hit the Castle Age. And this isn't so efficient either, so Nilly's economy looking at a bit of a state at the moment. Does have more wood gathering at the back here from Idleville's. Gold in the back. Less than 800 to go there, so it's about to run out, and I kind of agree with what Crash-chan was saying in the chat, that, you know, with the exposed main gold and the safe gold in the back, it is a debate about whether you try and take the main gold in the front so that you've got more in the back to fall back on if you have to. But let's see how this offensive goes, because this feels like a Nilly's big move to turn the game around here. Gonna release half a dozen +2 knights, bring out 4 mangonels. Obviously the hill is going to be against him, but with the knights running in, he should be able to clean all of this up with not too much being lost, as long as his mangonel shots are halfway decent. All blue really opening up, or bunching up his units, just about avoiding the shot, but Nilly's bringing the trap now. Knights coming out of this table, killing his own knights with the mangonels. But that's a good shot there, and Nilly will manage to clean up now. Fortunately, his mangonels are just kind of lagging behind, and those crossbows picking up a lot of damage on the knights, but the last 2 knights do have full health. With +2 armour, they'll wipe out the rest of their army. So even as a few skirmishers come forward, that's not going to make a difference. Let's take stock of the situation. Nilly's reclaimed his main gold. He's down by 13 villagers. Economy looking a little bit messy and exposed. And getting a market because he's floating 1,000 wood. Fangxiaoqi, meanwhile, now got a second town centre in a good spot, securing his 2nd gold in stone and also offering protection in front of his wood line. Being in a monastery. 3rd town centre actually that he's on. 2nd one coming up inside the initial perimeter. So, having been on the offensive for the sort of the last 25 minutes of game time, Blue has actually achieved rather a lot with that. He's up to 2 TCs when his opponent is on. Sorry, he's up to 3 TCs, having added an additional 2, when his opponent is only on 1. And he's 20 villages ahead, and that's only set to increase with the TC difference. Fangxiaoqi now building a castle. Let's see where that's come up. I need to find it. Oh yeah, just in front of the main gold. Sensible location to put it. He doesn't need to overextend and try and castle drop at the front of Nilly's base or something. He doesn't have the military presence to do that. And he knows he's ahead at this point, so he's just going to play it safe. I imagine he'll aim at Imperial Age transition. Now, Woad Raiders could do just such an enormous amount of damage to Nilly if they manage to get in. Nilly is actually doing a massive wall off on the right hand side. Hopefully from his point of view he finds this little hole down here. Should be aware of it there if he actually pays that attention. But yeah, there's plenty of places for the Woad Raiders to run in. I suppose we're going to pick up 2 monks for free there. You'd expected them to get maybe at least 1 conversion and then heal 1 crossbow while it shoots the other one. Nearly struggling to find TC locations really. He's got a very hilly map and all the wood lines and the mines apart from this one are right up there on hills. So it's one of those games where you just have to put TCs where you can and they're not quite defending the resources or not quite positioned on the resources as you might like. But ultimately you've just got to get them down somewhere to ramp up your villager production. Heavy Cloud being researched for Nilly. He's trying to drop a lot more farms. He hasn't had many farms working for quite some time. We did see all the farmland around the TC being idle for a long time as a very brave Mangadel from Nilly goes around the back of the wood line. The Fangxiaoqi but just gets cleaned up by 2 Woad Raiders. Having got a vill or 2. These 2 crossbows will go down as well. And let's go back to blue player's point of view, see how close he is to Imperial Age. And the answer is very... he doesn't have a market at this point, but he's floating a lot of food and could only have to wait a moment to get the gold to click up, or he could, if he wanted to be really urgent about it and he'd got a market, he could have bought 1 or 200, well, sold 1 or 200 food. He doesn't need to be terribly urgent about it though. He is ahead in the game and do need the resources to spam Woad Raiders and to upgrade them. Better to go up to the Imperial Age a bit more organically, I think, rather than rush it. Pretty much whenever he goes up, he's going to deal the killing blow when he gets there. Nilly is just trying to sort of boom at this point, but he's fallen very far behind in the villager count. 38 villagers. And expending a lot of food and just trying to pump out villagers at this point from 2 TCs, build up a farming eco. Feels like he's just sort of playing into the hands of Fangxiaoqi. It would have been very hard for him to just turn the game around and go and apply pressure anyway, because the Chinese player just did so much damage during the first sort of like 20 minutes after the players hit feudal. But by just booming essentially, well not just booming, but by just dropping TCs and trying to catch up on fills and not really doing any damage to Fangxiaoqi, it's just kind of waiting for that killing blow to actually happen because the blue player is just always accelerating ahead. Getting those upgrades relevant to the Woad Raiders, of course, while he's on his way. He's going to have a second castle, and let's see how many Woads he actually has at this point. Just the 6, but it won't take him long to get that up to sort of like 15. Resources are looking good to click elite pretty quickly as well, and 15 elite Woad Raiders are going to be more than enough to idle pretty much most of Nilly's economy and take out the army that he has on the field. Oh, can I move a bit the overlay? I didn't realise that was recovering up the spec overlay. Yep, sure. I'm not been looking at the chat too much during the stream, but let's fix that. Thanks for pointing that out. Let's go here. Or do I go there? What's better? Top left or bottom left? I think bottom left's still better, right? I'll just wait for the delay to come through to see which you think is the best. No answers, so we'll carry on. But yeah. To those who are just joining, I am going to be casting many of the wrecks from the 1v1 Cup that was renamed the DauT Cup. I've got quite a lot to come. I'm feeling a little bit ill, so I'm probably not sounding that great, but we'll get through as much as we can, and then later on we'll have Brothers in Arms final. And the entirety of this stream today is meant to function as a donation stream for Masters of Arabia 2v2, so if you feel like supporting that tournament, or if you'd like to know more about it, then you can either donate or ask me a question about it. Anyway, Blue has now hit the Imperial Age, so Nilly will be sort of quaking in his boots waiting for those woads to come. He's already seen a few out on the map, and he's did actually see the second castle being built. I think he sees the third one being built over here, so he knows the opponent going to be on 3 castles straight away. Nilly's going to be going up the Imperial Age with a much lower number of villagers, which will affect his ability to actually get all the upgrades and to spam units. But he knows that if he was terribly late to the Imperial Age, he probably wouldn't have much chance anyway, so hence he's felt that urgency to click up. The roads are going into the back of Nilly's base now. This wood line is just, the village is so far from safety, as well as the farms that have been built around these sort of satellite mills. Those roads not faring as well as they could do on account of being downhill from the crossbows, but still most of them being cleaned up. And now those road raiders running in underneath the TC, killing villagers pretty quickly. Nilly's idling some, garrisoning them in the TC, but they're not doing enormous amounts of damage to the woads, which do now have the +4 armour. And Fangxiaoqi is doing a good job of just spreading groups of them out, 2s and 3s underneath different areas in Nilly's economy. To an extent they'll do that themselves, almost as good as Eagle Warriors are just being really pesky and annoying and finding their way into every corner of your economy. Well, obviously they're pretty damn beefy to make up for not having quite the same line of sight and just villager hunting prowess. And Nilly is going to call a GG here. Tap out Fangxiaoqi saying yes. That's a pretty lazy way of doing it. You think he managed GG, but there we go. He's acknowledging it, and pretty comfortable victory for him in this first game of today's stream. Just coming forward and denying Nilly resources a lot, applying a lot of pressure, and I think a somewhat greedy Castle Age sort of semi-fast castle by Nilly when he was too open was kind of the thing that kind of decided it, because during the next 5 minutes after that, the blue player did a lot of damage. Coming in from different directions and just hitting the gold, hitting the second wood line that Nilly moved to. So allowed him to kind of race away with the villagers once he decided to slow down the aggression and add up TCs, because Nilly's economy was in quite a bad state. People on horse got a minute 45. I didn't spot that. I saw some upgrades coming in right at the end there. I didn't spot that horse collar was amongst them. Damn. What's left to play in the tournament? One of the semi-finals and the actual final. And they'll finish the tournament in a few weeks probably, because they need to arrange a time when the Chinese can stream it as well, because the Chinese actually sponsored it. It was a donation by a Chinese clan that I hadn't heard of called ZP that sponsored the DauT Cup, and they renamed it that from the Clan Masters 1v1 Mini Cup because they're such fans of DauT. It was actually just quite remarkable to see how much the Chinese loved DauT when they went there. When the Tyrant players went over to China, they found that all the Chinese people, rather than warning over Viper or Riot or anybody like that from the international players, they all wanted to get to meet DauT and have their picture taken with DauT. I gather somebody actually travelled to the LAN specifically just to get a picture with DauT, which must have been such an odd experience. as just a player of Age of Empires 2, a game that's like 17 years old, counting Age of Kings, I think. To have people actually hunting you down to take pictures with you and get autographs or whatever, pretty cool. For those of you who have been checking out the video interviews that we've been doing at VB Official, you can watch them on the YouTube channel. Yo did talk about how the GG. I guess this is a restart. What's going on? I guess it's a restart. What is that? Has Blue just decided he doesn't want to play that game? What's the next rec? Is it decentering? Or is it something else? Has he just conceded that game because he doesn't like it?
Oh, thank you, you wonderful man!
Armageddon, thank you very much for your donation. Yeah, for those who are just joining as well, I just want to know a little bit more about Masters of Arabia while I add that to the counter. It's going to be a 2v2 tournament that will run through some of November, but mostly December and January. And we've got 20 odd teams signed up already. Hopefully we'll get a lot more, especially now that some of the expert players are home from China. And it was a really popular tournament in 2013. It hasn't been run since 2013 actually. And there are a couple of expert players like Nikov saying, you know, I want to see a sequel to this event because it was so successful and back in 2013. So we're running it on a structure that's pretty close to the original format, and we're hoping it's going to be a really good success. Got plenty of admins on board, so the tournament is definitely going to go ahead and be run properly. I'm struggling to find where actually I put the thing to update the overlay. There we go. And because the game is Ghost Lake, Fangxiaoqi did actually concede that game, which is pretty hilarious. I can't believe that he didn't want to play decentering that much, but what a genius home map choice by Nilpferd to actually win the game in 1 minute flat by making your opponent play a map he hates so much he just instantly resigns. And I'm looking in the chat and Robo is saying that Fangxiaoqi has never played decentering before, so he messed up the start and he conceded the game there and then, having no idea what the hell was going on. So perfectly thought out map choice by Nilly. I bet he's looked up every Fangxiaoqi game ever to know that Nilly hadn't played that one. Interesting just map choice in general though, because not many people would think when they're picking a home map to go for decentering, but Nilly probably played a lot of games on the NC zone with the German New Chapter clan. They play a lot of custom maps, and decentering is actually called NC at decentering, so it's kind of a product of their games, their zone. As Fangxiaoqi, this villager, decides she's not long for this world and doesn't even bother to run back by the village. I saw her turn back just for a second and then she got attacked and stopped again. Not sure why he was clicking on there, but we've seen some sloppy starts to the game from Fangxiaoqi. Previous game, like, he was ringing the town bell and who knows what. Like, he'd see him make a small mistake and he'd take 3 seconds to fix it, and once again here, it's almost like they're playing with 10-second delay, which is pretty ironic considering they had almost no delay at all. You'd really expect players to not have these kind of mistakes going on in these conditions, but the other thing to be said is that the players are playing in a hotel sort of theatre sort of setup in China. Probably don't have their own mice and keyboard. Nearly almost certainly don't know about Fangxiaoqi. But it's an unfamiliar scenario. It's not like playing at home when you're relaxed. The players were probably on a stage as well, which could be hard to adjust to and make players very, very nervous. I remember interviews from the WSVG Maldives tournament when apparently Yinghua was saying that his hands were shaking and he just couldn't play and hit his hotkeys at all when he was playing against the Viper there in that sort of setting. So it could be really tough to adjust to. I know I get too anxious and nervous playing absolutely meaningless just for fun tournaments. Even my relatively mediocre level, so God knows what these guys are like playing on a stage far from home with a lot of people watching all around the world. But anyway, we have Ghost Lake, and I didn't see what the civilizations were in the decentering game, but we're gonna see Aztecs versus Huns here, and nearly with a Meso Civ here. It's typically Mayans are considered the go-to Civ on Ghost Lake in my experience of the games that I've watched, but I think Aztecs can be good at it in lots of similar ways here. Huns is an odd one. I haven't seen too many players playing Huns on Ghost Lake 1v1 in a tournament setting where they could be coming up against Meso Civs. So I'll be interested to see how Fangxiaoqi plays this. Ghost Lake maps can be quite sort of closed off and wallable, so the kind of cavalry archer mobility in the Castle Age isn't always going to be something that you're going to be able to be making too much use of on a Ghost Lake map. But I guess Nilly's map isn't as closed and sort of defensible as some Ghost Lake maps I've seen. Main Gold's in a good spot, but all the wood lines can be kind of hit, and some of the secondary mines. So Fangxiaoqi, if he wants to go with the cav archers, they can still do good damage, I think. But I think I just prefer the Meso civilizations with the better economy and the early imp power. The walling coming up already. Kind of like the last game, we're definitely seeing a distinctive style here from the blue player. I wonder if he'll try a sneaky forward like last time, because we saw him wall up his whole base before Nilly's Drush could even get there last time, and we could see more or less the same thing happening. Boar Steel actually happening. Did miss that venturing across the map. Probably too busy rabbiting on and to actually look with my eyes what was going on. I bet I saw it at some point, and people are saying at me in the chat like, "What the hell? What's the Boar Steel?" But it will be successful. We can see that Nilly's got 2 boars under his TC right there, and given the timing, he must have already taken his first boar. So 1 boar down for Fangxiaoqi. We can see he's heavily on all the sheep now to make up for that. The nice thing is that Ghost Lake, of course, you will actually find some extra sheep out in the ice, and lots of wolves on this map. I'm just noticing all the dots on around the blue player's base, and I think they do put sheep in the corners on Ghost Lake, but maybe they put does it increase the difficulty, increase the number of wolves? Maybe they didn't plan standard difficulty. I know it makes them more aggressive. Anyway, all the wolves seemingly on Fangxiaoqi's side. Nilly now going from his base with a 3 militia drush, so he's not going to do the Aztec thing oh, he is going to continue to have militia. So 4th one and 5th one are being produced. Gonna run across the ice with the 4 militia, try and get inside Fangxiaoqi's walls, learn from the last game when Fangxiaoqi was already walled up, but for the moment he doesn't see the walls, and he's gonna have a nasty surprise again, because Fangxiaoqi is completely walled, and once again he's just not going to be able to get inside with the drush. You'd be expecting him to go for some kind of Drush FC approach, especially with the extra boar, but it would be nice, I guess, just like the last game, if he was actually up a little bit faster to follow the Drush up with something to get inside the walls. Although with Fangxiaoqi going for his sneaky forward from inside the walls, Nilly's actually going to have a route in, and Fangxiaoqi needs to quickly close this off now. Unfortunately, Nilly's Drush just out of position to actually make the most of that, and now a barracks will plug the hole. However, this is actually really great for Nilly. That is a faster uptime by the blue player, followed up with a forward with 4 villagers leaving the walls, and they're probably all going to go down now unless Fangxiaoqi's happy to delete a wall and let them all back in. So it's a big win for Nilly in the early game to actually intercept the forward and have his opponent go up too early. Well, not go up too early, but go up quicker. and then not actually reap the benefits of the faster uptime with being able to execute the forward. And with the extra ball in the bank as well, Nilly's looking in a great spot. We saw him, I'd say, quite comfortably outplayed in game 1, but now he holds a good advantage, I feel. He's 5 villages ahead at this point of view. Obviously there's a difference in uptime. And Fangxiaoqi, not one to be put off by that setback, is actually sending 2 more villagers across the ice to go forward, and may manage to find a route into Nilly's base with that scout picking up the villager on the right hand side. And let's just drop the archer range just outside Nilly's walls. He won't see that. Good with the palisades only having a tiny bit of line of sight. Doesn't look like any more villager deaths here, so they must have actually found their way back into the TC. But to an extent, like, Nilly could pretty much have run past that TC because there were probably no villagers around it to actually dive in and kill the villagers kill the militia as they went by. So there's just no farmland here. Second archer range coming up for Fangxiaoqi. He's gonna just try and apply the pressure now, but we'll need to do a lot because he's considerably behind at this point. Nilly ahead in the villager count by about probably 2.5 by the time this finishes, and just in a better situation to leapfrog to Castle Age and more resources in the bank, bigger economy. He's actually going to be able to pull off the FC pretty much. Might consider a watchtower somewhere to try and halt the advance of his opponent. Does have stone in the back right next to his other mining camp, so this forward stone isn't going to be an issue for him. The watchtower location is it's good because it's protecting the mines. It's funneling the army towards the TC if it wants to go this way, stopping them going around here as well, especially with a couple of little walls. But I'm surprised he's not just building it a little bit more forward, sort of here. With only the scout inside, you could definitely get away with putting that watchtower a bit further forward to try and stop Fangxiaoqi just gaining a little bit more ground in his base. And in the chat, someone says it's going to be a tower skip, and actually I hadn't foreseen that being what Fangxiaoqi would do. But yeah, he's used the tower to hop Nilly's walls, which is pretty awesome. Nilly's tower is up, of course, kind of just enough range to force those archers right around the top, but they will be able to head on by here without taking too much damage, and Nilly definitely needs some walling here. It would have been nice to see some sort of preemptive walling around this area, like this maybe. From there to there and here to here, if he was going to do the tower so far back. Now having to wall up right by the TC, literally walling in the TC. So if those archers were really brave and were willing to take some losses to dive right under the TC, they wouldn't be able to. Nilly now going out to drop some of those wall tiles that I'd have liked to have seen. But with the archers there, it's just not going to happen. And Fangxiaoqi now going to start mining Nilly's main stone and probably drop some more towers. The difficulty is that if they does get another tower in, at the moment he's free to just walk around here and try and get a tower sort of there. Unless Nilly walls that up. That's what I wanted to see from him. Back at home, his Josh is actually, or part of it is actually in. Got in through this hole in the wall, and having researched man-at-arms as well, he's now able to do some damage to the villagers on the wood line, but he got a kill there. I don't think it was more than one. And Fangxiaoqi will force him away and just wall that up. Meanwhile, the other militia and their man-at-arms are being chased away by archers, so I don't think Nilly really got too much out of that man-at-arms upgrade, to be honest. Second tower coming up for Fangxiaoqi, and it's not very ambitious, but I quite like it because it ensures that he's going to be able to just continue to mine that forward stone, but also with those archers diving to the base of the tower, I feel like that might almost be in range to here as well, which is fun to stop villagers from kind of like jumping out, either to fight some skirmishes or to repair the tower or to fight with the units. Villager count is now 1 in favour of Fangxiaoqi, but that's obviously just a product of the Castle Age advancement time. Fangxiaoqi keeping some villagers at home, sorry, archers at home for now. But there's only 1 man at arms there to worry about. Did just break through a wall at home, but the blue player really won't have too much to worry about there. Towers are in range of each other. Both do have fletching, but for now, the blue player's one is firing at a house, and that tower is actually taking a lot of damage from the gold mining villagers. Quite a few military units being lost relatively for free by the blue player there, though. Did he get horse collar in this game? That is the question. Almost want to check. Someone noticing. I think it's Hightower, wasn't it? Noticed. Yeah, still no horse collar. Seems like it's the blue player's strategy. Just don't ever get horse collar until the game's already over, and then use horse collar to seal the deal. But now nearly looking in a bit of trouble because he's going to have a lot of archers underneath that gold mine. Just have crossbows over here, and he could probably secure this gold there if he wanted to, but for now it's Fangxiaoqi with pretty much a stranglehold over Nilly's main gold. I would have liked to see just that tower, those towers being a little bit further forward, and then maybe just as soon as he saw this forward cropping up, the mining camp right there, could have just put a couple more villagers on stone while he's going to Castle Age. Just get some more walls up, maybe a second tower here to stop this sort of thing happening with the units going underneath the tower. Just play it a little bit safe, but for now I'd say he's pretty much lost his early game advantage. I mean, he is in the Castle Age. But he's got a lot of idle, and the villager difference between the two players is actually larger than the villager difference created by clicking up to the Castle Age and researching it and having an otherwise idle TC. Although Nilly is at least getting wheelbarrow, whereas his opponent doesn't even have horse collar, so there is something to be said for that. But yeah, the early game advantage that Nilly had is not really present anymore unless he's able to come over here and do some damage. But Fangxiaoqi behind walls and starting to have a good economy, starting to float a good amount of food and gold. Like this house in front of the tower to try and keep those units away from the base of it, and a second one with 70 HP. But that tower is picking up a good number of kills, but is requiring more idle and more resources being spent by Nilly just to make his main gold safe. It's looking a good deal safer though now with all this extra buildings around, and actually making a second mining camp to shift the gathering a little bit further away from those units. Fangxiaoqi though just doesn't care. He's happy to take casualties and a great deal of damage as long as he picks up the villagers' kills, and I think that's fine because he's just keeping Nilly off gold completely. He's still not taking this one, and it means that Nilly's just getting nothing out of being in the Castle Age. Really aggressive play, and all the while back at home, Fangxiaoqi relatively undisturbed. Did lose a villager on his wood line. He's going to have to move some villagers. And with this man at arms having been battering on this wall for some time, the crossbows can get in. They will kill a couple of villagers, deny some farms, but importantly Fangxiaoqi is always mining stone here, so he can always defend with towers at home, and that's exactly what he's going to do. And with a couple more towers, he'll be able to completely zone Nilly out. And it looks like he's going to go up with a stable and probably do some knights, because the important thing for him is that Nilly is open. He's even running past straight past the TC. I've got to say that just from watching these two games, not counting the decentering one, that it's a really good style and fun to watch that Fangxiaoqi actually has, because he's so aggressive and he's so much about just zoning his enemy out from their resources, or just continually attacking from multiple directions and getting villager kills, getting idle, just making his opponent's head spin pretty much. It's certainly a messy style, and you know, there are things that can be said about sometimes what happens to his eco when he's focusing so much on applying the pressure, but you can definitely let him off for that when you just look at how sort of excitingly he actually plays all this aggressive style that he's doing, and we see it again. Just looking for new angles of attack once again, but this time he is preparing for the knight's transition, and he's actually going to do his, if that's closed there, so he doesn't have a hole, but he's going to keep Nilly off that second gold mine, and he's going to look for an opening to get into Nilly's base, try and maybe hit this palisade, maybe run for this gap if it's still open. Use his knights to clean up crossbows as well, which thought I could already hear. The man at arms. Oh, it's there. It is. I thought it was a knight already, but it's not yet hit the castle edge. It's a stand of a man at arms sword. I can hear clanging. He will get crossbow as well, but yeah, actually does still have enough archers to make that worthwhile. I was going to say, I'm not sure how many archers Fangxiaoqi actually had, but certainly worth it. You've got half a dozen archers at least on the field. Nilly's bringing forward a few more crossbows, but he's not able to hit too much of the resources of the blue player. Has done a good job of affecting the wood economy for quite some minutes now, but I guess that ultimately was the smallest payoff out of hitting either food, wood or gold, because Fangxiaoqi is basically just spending food and gold at this point, which he has plenty of economy for, and would have even more so if he actually just got some villagers back onto these farms and cleaned up this man-at-arms. That's a bit sloppy. Like, that man-at-arms has just been chilling there for so long, he could have cleaned it up. I feel like he must be focusing on microing back at the on the front, considering he's being a bit loose with his looking after his villagers and cleaning up his base back at home. Like, why is that man-at-arms still alive? But anyway, it seemed like he wasn't. Like, I couldn't see too much going on here, so not sure what he was up to while some of his villagers were going down. Yeah, knights are out with bloodlines and +1. And he not worrying too much about these crossbows and just sending the knights forward. He really wants to keep this hole open. And forward siege workshop as well. I wonder if Nilly's gonna try and seal this over a bit. He's actually going quite heavily to stone now. Just going to his point of view, he's banking a lot of resources. I guess it's been kind of hard for him to spend it because he's been off wood for the most part for the last few minutes. Hasn't been able to get on the wood here because of these skirmishers that have been parked there. There's been some crossbows here, so floating a lot of food and gold because he's not making food and gold units, and he hasn't really had any wood to combine that with to spend it on stuff. And really, I didn't realise Fangxiaoqi still had this many crossbows on the field, but with the hill advantage here that's present here as well, he's really giving Nilly a hard time. I thought Nilly had sort of regained control of this area because there were a smaller number of crossbows, but there must have been some. Must have been these ones going up there or something. And now Fangxiaoqi moving in and doing so much damage. Here villagers just going down left and right. Nearly getting a good number of kills there, but all the while sustaining damage to his economy. It's only 27 villagers at minute 32. Meanwhile though, back at home, the 3 crossbows from Nilly decided to finally go through this wall, and they're picking up a good number of villagers on the gold. So both players losing a lot here, but one knight with bloodlines and +1 will clean that up, and I think it's best of luck at what's happening over here. So that Mangonel comes forward, taking a lot of damage from a fully garrisoned tower, or almost fully garrisoned, but picking up villager kills once again, and Nilly just feeling the heat and calling GG. with one or two mangonels here, Fangxiaoqi would have been able to probably bash down that tower, and nearly just wasn't able to get on wood at all to probably produce his own. Down to such a low population and able to take resources over here. It's just a really great job by Fangxiaoqi in terms of just denying resources from Nilly, just picking up kills. A really impressive rate as well. He wasn't afraid. Perhaps you could argue he's not the most efficient with the units that he has forward because he gets he sustains a lot of losses, but he also just does so much damage while sustaining those losses that it works out well for him. And both games sort of similar styles, walling up and going forward, and he's just applied too much pressure for Nilly to deal with here. Like I said, long way back in the start of Feudal Age, really, I feel like if Nilly getting the fast castle with the villagers ahead and the boar steel, he probably could have made the most of that if he'd been a bit more proactive in defending this area before Fangxiaoqi hopped through the wall. Like if he'd got an extra tower up or just got him a bit further forward, a bit more walling, perhaps even stone walling, and shifted some of these gold villagers to actually take the stone that was right there just to assist him in that. I feel like he could have locked down the advantage he established in the early game. But with those archers getting in, hopping through and dropping more towers, Nilly just had no space to work with. So interesting games for the first couple here. I'm going to take a quick break and then we'll jump into the next series, which will be, I'll tell you in a moment. I'm going to have to set up the overlay as well, so it will be a little bit of a delay. What will it be? It's actually going to be Slam versus Licks. Let's do that one. Got 2 more round 1 clashes. So I'll just change the score to 2-1 for Fangxiaoqi, and then go AFK for a minute, and then I'll come back and set up the overlays for the next games. Alright guys, I'm back. Just going to set up the overlays and everything for Slam vs Licks. Just going to be the next series from the DauT Cup. Thanks for the compliment, buddy. The accent would probably sound a lot better if I didn't sound so stuffy from being ill, but I'll get over it.